So, the got a friendly dog. If we talk about taking group family pictures, large pictures, and you said Christmas pictures,
Yes.
and I think that Christmas picture or reunion pictures or just whenever family gets together, I think it's a good idea to take a large group picture of everybody with everybody in it that you can. So the question is, how do you start with all that? And I think a big thing is to get somebody on your side. You may have the camera and tripod, but you want to get someone that says, let them know, what you want to do, and someone who can kind of help you get everybody together. That can be, especially if it's a very large group. So, get someone that's going to help you and say, we're going to do this. We want you to participate, and this is so that's the first part. Lock him up. We had to pause here for a minute. Putting a dog in the other room. That's a Yorkie. Corky, the Yorkie. He's a wild man, but he's a pretty good dog. He doesn't bite or snip too much. I mean, you can edit that out, right?
I can edit it.
So, okay, that's
Get somebody on your team.
get someone who
They'll help organize and people will listen to.
That's right, and more than one person. Get as many. The size of the group. You need someone to help with it. Just don't think you can get everybody together yourself. And don't be afraid to speak up and holler. You may have to get everyone to hear you. This is the other dog. Cooper, the King Charles Spaniel. He's a person's dog. So he can't hear a thing. He's totally deaf. So we won't bother him when we talk.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's the first thing. Don't think you're going to get it organized or get the picture without some help.
Yeah.
You can, if it's a real small group, but it's always better to get them on your side. Get many people in the group as you can, and then
Especially if it's like a new thing you're trying to do. Like
Right.
you didn't do one last year. You've never done one as a group.
That's right. So the first time people are going to think, well, what do you want that for? What do you want to do that? Or they say, I don't look good. That's another thing. A lot of people think, well, I don't look. Compliment them how they look. Just you look great. It'll be a great picture. Just so encourage them to be positive about what it is you're going to do, taking a group picture. So I think once you get past that, and if you're doing it regularly, they're used to it. Then they kind of expect it, because when you take the picture, you want to share it. You're taking it for them as much as for yourself. So give it to them some way. Whether and some old people may not have email. They may not be able to print a picture. Print them a picture. And send it. Give it to them, so they'll have it, and it'll be easier. Every time you do that, the next time it's easier, because they're going to want a new picture. And they start piling up year after year or month after month, and they see the differences as people get older and people fall out of the picture because of things. People die or move on or aren't there this year or whatever.
Or new babies.
Right, yes. And children, that you can hardly get to participate sometimes. It can really make the picture more lively, just see what the kid's doing this year, and things like that. So that's the start. You want to make it happen, and if you want to make it happen, you want to get help so that someone will be on your side to get it to organize, and get the people. Look, one or two people who you respect their opinions, like your mother. She's excellent. I have her, and she'll look and she'll say, "Oh, this person needs to come forward. This person needs to move back, or whatever." Get them so that you can see people's faces. That's the main thing, because you'll have some people who will be in the picture and intentionally stand behind somebody so that you just see their eyes, and they think, well, I'm in the picture. You can see me. Well, you really can't, You know, you just see the top of their head. If they have a hat on and sunglasses, you can hardly tell who it is. I mean, you know who it is, but they don't really show up like you want them to in a picture.
Yeah.
So that's the thing to consider is then once you get them cooperating, you got them standing there, then you want to get them placed so that the picture will have some feel that it was organized. You know, and whether and the bigger the group, the harder it is to do that. You know, we put a blanket down, the kids could sit in front, and you have a bench, people sit down, and a lot of times if you have older people who can't stand very long, you make sure they have a seat. So you have more time when you build time into it. With the kids sitting down, they don't want to sit there for a long time, but they're more likely to sit there than they are to stand somewhere. So make it as comfortable as you can for them. Now, as you move up in age, kids, you know, they want to be by who they want to be by. You know, they want to stand by mom, or they want to stand by Uncle Henry, or whoever. You know, let them get there, but try to work them in so that you can see their face, get a good shot of them, and so that you get ready to go. So that's kind of like the artistic part of the group picture. And then the technical part is you want to narrow the plane as much as you can. Okay, what I mean by that is that your depth of focus on your camera is going to be limited probably, so that the kids who are sitting down in front, you want them back as close to the people who are sitting down as you can get them. Because you may have 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 rows of people behind the people sitting down. So make sure that you get them as close together as you can in that plane. Now, how wide it is, you know, you want to, your camera, the capability of your camera is very important. Know its limitations and what you can do. Camera or the lenses that you have on your camera. So that you may want, if you have a wider angle lens, you can get closer and still get the large group in. But if you don't have, you have a standard lens, you have your camera back a ways. So then you want to think about your digital camera. You know, assuming you're using digital, which most people do now. There's still a few film people out there, and that's a whole different deal. But digital, the main thing is if you can do it outside where there's plenty of light and no harsh sun hitting people in the eyes or casting harsh shadows, that's probably the preferred way, because the more light, they'll increase your depth of field in your group so that more people will be in focus. So that the person's in front and the person standing in the back, that distance is totally as much of it in focus as you can get. And you set your camera up on your tripod, and if you have somebody else who's tripping it for you, or the fun thing is to do it yourself. Set yourself timer, look at everybody, look in your camera, you know, and see how everything looks, and put your self timer on 10 seconds or at least, and hit the button, and you want to focus somewhere in the middle of that plane. Someone not only in the middle of the plane, but in the middle of the group, because your focus on your lens is more towards the center. That spot is like a sweet spot. So that most lenses, the further you get to the edge, the more likely you're going to have things out of focus. And the more you go to the front of where you have focused, the more likely it's going to be out of focus. And more to the back of that sweet spot, it's going to be out of focus. So you want to focus on that center spot. If you have good vision, and most photographers, they'll manual focus the camera. My camera can focus better than I can typically. So I'll let my camera focus, set the shot off, 10 seconds, okay? Now the next thing is putting fill light into the picture. And I do that with a flash. Outdoors, bright, doesn't matter. My camera, I set it on high-speed flash so that my camera can sync at high speed. Your ISO, you want to keep it as low as you can. So you keep noise out, like ISO 100, you know. And if it's really cloudy or overcast, or you're doing it inside, that's a different thing. But ISO, the lower the ISO, the more likely you'll get a better picture. Now my camera can do real well at higher ISOs, and I can push it and still get a good picture. But the main thing then is the lens on the camera. Now the lens will, your f-stop. Now, a lot of photographers they love to take portrait pictures and limit the focus so that just your face is in focus. And then in front and back is either blurry or you can't even tell what it is. That's called bokeh or something like that. It's a Japanese word for the focus area is very limited. And it just gives it a spectacular look on a picture. Well, in a picture of a large group, you're not looking for that. And you'll get that limited focus with lenses that are called very fast. 1.4 is a standard very fast lens. Faster is 1.2, or there are even faster lenses than that. Most lenses, though, the more affordable lenses, 1.8, or even f4. Okay, so what happens is you get more depth of focus, and you lose the arc effect of having something, a person's face in focus and the rest out of focus.
The higher the number, the more in focus, or the less?
That's right. So that you want, and if you know a sweet spot for your lens, and most lenses do really well at like f5.6 or f8, or maybe an f16. Some of them will go, depending on the lens.
That's meaning almost everything's in focus.
Right, and what that does is, a 1.2 lens is wide open like this, and then a 1.4 is closed down a little bit. And when you get to like f16, your lens is like a little hole like that. So what that means is less light gets in, and what that does is it increases the depth of field of your picture. Well, you want, for a large group, you want to increase your depth of field, because you don't want just the little kids in the front row in focus, but you want people in the back row in focus as well, and on the edges. And you center that, and hopefully that circle of what's centered this way and this way will be in focus. The plane goes this way, front and back, and then the front and back plane goes this way from the center. So the idea then is to keep your camera, and the other thing I didn't talk about is your shutter speed. What shutter speed do you set it at? Well, hopefully you're outside and you can go fast enough that anybody moving a little bit will still be in focus. Because if your shutter speed, and with film, it was always a reciprocal of the focal length of your lens. If you had a lens that was a 50 millimeter lens, you want your shutter speed to be at least 1/50th of a second. Okay, well, if you're on a tripod, you're not going to have any motion from your camera on the tripod. And some lenses are stabilized, and they suggest you turn them off on a tripod. Most newer lenses, you don't have to turn that off. It doesn't matter if it's on a tripod and you have your stabilizer on your lens. So the question then is, if you're syncing with a flash, you probably, you want to know what your, if you go with a high-speed sync, you can set it at 1/25th of a second or 1/250th of a second. It's enough to freeze any motion in the picture. So if you're shooting at f8 and 1/25th of a second, ISO 100, well, how do you know that's going to be perfect light? How do you know your flash can cover that distance? So for me, it's easier to set some of it on automatic, okay? And I'll do that. And then what I'll do is, I'll take 2 or 3 pictures of the big group, and I'll change something almost every time. And I'll make the group feel like, well, somebody wasn't smiling, or somebody's eyes weren't open, or something, It's like, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the best picture of the group, and I can't really control their eyes. Now, some cameras can, tell when your eyes are open, or even if you're smiling, but they can't do that for 50 or 60 people in a large group. So I recommend then, for me, because you're limited on your time. People want to get the picture done and go on, and so you look at it, you take the shot, and you want to get back there and look at what you have every time, because you may see something totally off. Sometimes, my flash setting is somehow got shoved way over, and everything was flashed out, or everything was dark, and so I go in and I make some changes and try to get it set to where the exposure is perfect, and the focus. You know, you want to make sure you get as good a focus as you can on everything.
So you mentioned a couple times about outside and inside.
Oh, that
Seems
yes.
like big groups it's almost automatically gonna be outside if that's possible.
Right.
Is
But-
there a time inside's good?
Well, yeah, when the weather's inclement, you know, you don't, if it's raining, if it's 105 degrees and you have a lot of elderly people, if you have to go up and down lots of stairs for older people, or you have, I mean, you want to be practical with it, with the idea. So then inside, the concern is having a space inside where a large group, or, you know, the size group that you have can be in this narrow plane, because you don't want people stacked too deep and narrow. I mean, you can do it and it's a different effect, but you're very limited on how much focus you can get with that. So, and then you have to understand what the reasoning is, or what for your picture. I do slideshows with my pictures. I do it, you know, the group picture is great and people want a group picture, but I also like to put the group picture in with a lot of other shots, random shots of different individuals in the group, so that I may take the big group and go in and take a few quick shots of different sections of the group, and then in my slideshow bring them out. Well, that works okay inside, and but when you try to get the entire group inside, then not only do you have to have a room wide enough, but you need to be able to get far enough back for your lens to be effective. And you always want to have space on both sides of your picture. You know, you don't want to crop your original picture too close, because when you make your enlargements, you'll find that the format of the sensor on your camera will not allow you to make certain size pictures without cutting people off.
So if I'm at the very end and you get just my shoulder and then there's nothing, no grass or a chair or fireplace on the side of me, and you switch to like a larger picture, a smaller picture, you run a chance of cutting off my arm or even more.
That's right.
I understand.
And it all depends on your sensor. A full frame sensor is like 35 millimeter film, and what would happen was if you make an 8x10 of that picture, you'll cut your shoulder. You could make an 8x12 and you'll be in there. But then you have a picture that's bigger than a standard size picture of what you may want. So, and then smaller sensors, like different cameras have APC, like the different size sensors, and you have to figure out what's your sensor size and your enlargements. You know, most of the time, all I want is a 4x6, and it doesn't matter. You know, but if you have a large group, you're going to want to blow that up and see, you know, into a smaller picture. I mean, into a larger picture, so that you can see the smaller things in the picture, the people's faces better and things. And when you do that, that's when you challenge your depth of focus. You know, to make sure that it's obvious. For me, I look at a picture and I've never taken what I'd consider a perfect picture. I can look at it, you know, I say, out of focus over here on this side. Look at the way the sun is hitting, you know. And what's really, if you can get outside and have everybody's face in like a shadow or in the shade, and if your flash is big enough to brighten up their faces, you have it made. But if you don't, and somebody is hit by the sun, you know, or if you have a bald head reflecting, or if you have, like at weddings, white dresses, oh my gosh, you have a big group with a white dress and you're outside, you get a lot of reflection from that, you know, and what makes it harder to see people's faces if you're getting a lot of bounce back from white things like a wedding dress. So things to consider. Now Christmas time, great, reds and greens. You know, it's just like in colors like that are so much are more forgiving, I think, as far as working with the flash and stuff. So, and in wintertime, outdoor pictures like at Christmas time, sometimes it could be snow outside, it could be muddy or slushy, or, you know, people, if you're in their home, they don't want everybody to go outside and everybody come right back in. It could be a mess.
Yeah.
So you want to figure out someplace in that, and you may have to move some furniture around. You know, move the couch over here. You know, and have people stand behind the couch. Have people sitting on the couch. Have people sitting in front and on the sides of, standing on the sides of the couch. You know, figure out how you can get people together close. And some people aren't that friendly with each other, you know, so that's why you want them to be or stand where they want to stand.
Yeah.
If somebody objects, if a kid doesn't want to be in a picture, you know, I'm just kind of like, don't make them be in it, you know. And almost, it's not uncommon for a 6 or 7 year old kid just to be upset about something and not want to be in the picture, you know. Just don't have a kid in there who is devastated by being in the picture.
Yeah.
You know, just I think it's better to get everybody else smiling as best you can, and let that kid, you know, get over it. And maybe, you know, next year maybe they'll get over it. You know, so I don't like the idea of forcing people and adults. A lot of adults say, I don't want my picture taken. I just say, okay, you know, well, I'd like to take it. You look good, you know, and it'd mean a lot to everybody if you would be in our picture, you know. But if they say no, that's it. They're not going to be in it. You know, don't push it. Don't make them feel like they have to do something they already said they don't really want to do.
Yeah.
So go with what you can get.
I can remember for as long as I could look back, being able to see large family pictures on refrigerators in our family. And I think as a kid, you know, look at everybody 2 years ago, and that's so long ago. And I think that helped maybe want to be in this one. So maybe in the future I could see how, you know, I looked or how everybody else looked. And I think that the first year maybe it's tough. Make sure everybody gets a copy of it. Make sure everybody appreciates the picture. And hopefully second time will be easier as time goes, and they'll see the value in the group pictures.
Well, and for me, the people who don't want to be in the group picture, I try to always manage to get them in pictures, unintentional pictures, you know, without them really realizing that I want to get their picture and get them doing whatever it is they want to be doing, and not bother them about telling them I'm going to take their picture, and just get some pictures of them like that, and include those in my slideshow. It may not be in the big group picture, but I still have a picture. I will get a picture of them, usually, you know, so that I will feel good about having them represented in the group. So, you know, and then there are people who are couples, you know, with but they may not have a commitment, or may not feel like they belong in the picture. You know, I invite them in. You know, if their relationship with somebody is close enough, or they've been friends for a long time, I say, you know, we want you in this picture. I want you in this picture. You know, you belong. You're a part of this group. You know, they may think, and for a lot of them, that's all they need. You know, I'd like to be, but they may think somebody else may not want them in the picture. So, if I'm taking a picture, I'm going to invite people in the picture. You know, in the past, some of the time, you know, people say I don't belong in that. Well, if it's somebody who a couple are together and maybe they're not engaged, but they're just good friends, and who knows, they may be different places. I don't care. Get in the picture. You know, it's all right with me. You know, because we'll look back and maybe that person will be with somebody different and say, oh, I remember when you were going with that person. No, it's all right. You know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Just if they're there, if they're part of the moment, because that's what it does. You look back, like you said in the pictures a couple of years ago. It's like time travel, and you can do that with lots of pictures. You take in your mind, you can look back and you can remember things when you see things like that. It's a memory thing where it allows you to travel in time and to see things. So
Checking how we're doing. Feeling good?
okay, it's still running. Huh?
Yep. Let's see, Matt. You use nice big flashes and a nice camera. If somebody has, let's just say, a dedicated camera, just not a phone, but a camera with a little pop-up flash, should they bother to use that, or are they better off just trying to just get the picture with natural light?
It all is, the variables are all there. If your pop-up flash, I would say, it depends on your distance and how much your pop-up flash can cover. If it can cover that, what you'll find with a lot of pop-up flashes in large groups is that your pop-up flash will cover just a little bit of the picture, and the rest of it will be not very good.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be too dark, and you can see exactly what the flash will cover in the group, and it can be very obvious. So in the cases like that, if it's a large group, it may be better to try to get as much natural light in the picture, so you don't have to use your pop-up flash.
So it could actually be a negative.
That's right.
Okay.
It could be.
So maybe that example, you would take one with it and come back, close it down, and take one without it, and see.
Yeah.
That way you're changing something
But
that you mentioned.
If you go to YouTube and you watch videos of cameras and things and photography, the thing that is talked about is not the flash, it's not the camera, it's the lens, because the lens is what makes the biggest difference, and how fast the lens is and the quality of the glass, and you can spend a whole lot more for your lens. Well, the lens to me is important, and the camera is important. But I put a lot of emphasis on my flash. I want the best flash for the camera. In fact, the system that the camera knows the flash, whether it's the same make and they're made to go together, or whether it's a good brand that will work with your camera. That's very important, because that flash can help you make the difference in how far you can stop your camera down, stop, so you don't have to have the 1.2 lens. You can have a 1.8 lens. It can help you with your ISO. You can shoot at a lower ISO and get less noise in your picture from having too high of ISO. And your shutter speed will be fast enough to freeze the motion. So I think that for me, I would always and because the flash is not as expensive, and that flash will work with every lens on that camera. And most of my work is done indoors with a wider angle where my flash will cover it. So then the key is then how, people say, well, don't ever use direct flash because you get big shadows behind people and things. Always balance your flash. Well, sometimes in certain situations, the direct flash, and if you have your camera set right, you won't get all that shadow stuff. Depending on where people are and how, and it'll lighten up the face and the colors and stuff a whole lot better. And so I will do direct flash, and if you're in places where you have a white ceiling or a good bounce ceiling, you get excellent pictures when you flash up. What that does is that tells your camera to be ready for flash all over. And when you have a direct flash on my camera, it knows if I'm shooting at 24 millimeter, 35 millimeter, or 104 millimeter, whatever. The flash knows and will focus down to get for that distance or the closeness. So it's important to utilize the light. That's what you're looking at in your picture, is the light. It's all about how the light is, and your camera then interprets that with a sensor and through the lens and the shutter.
How important is it to have a tripod versus setting up your camera on a chair or something like that? Is that a big deal?
Well, it just depends on where you are and what you're doing. I mean, if you're going to take pictures of stars or the moon or something, you're going to want a good tripod, and because it's going to be setting there. In fact, you're going to want to set your camera either on a timer or have a remote touch off for your camera, so you don't have to actually press the button at the same time the shutter closes. Okay, but if you're just doing selfies and little group things, and you can set it on because you're not going to always have a tripod with you.
Yeah.
You can. The photographers talk about tripods, and it's a graphite. Those tripods cost more than a lot of cameras. I mean, they're so expensive. It's like, I always thought aluminum was pretty good, but I don't carry my tripod everywhere. I take my tripod when I know I'm going to do a large group with me in the picture. Now, see, if I wasn't going to be in the picture, I wouldn't even take my tripod. My camera stabilized. I held it when my shutter speed's fast enough. I'm not going to get motion stuff. But the other thing is if you're doing movies, okay, I recommend a tripod for movies, almost always. Now, some of the more expensive and the better stabilized lenses, this is what you get. They will cut that down so that your movies look a whole lot better. People get motion sickness watching most movies with your iPhones and stuff. Now the iPhones are better. Your phone, those things do a lot better job because of that that stabilization that's built in to to the phone or the camera of the phone. So, but yeah, if find some way of setting it up. If you don't have a tripod, you want to be in the picture with your
Set it
friends
up,
or
okay.
whatever. Set it up. Find some. Yeah, that's what we always do.
For my luck, it seems like if I don't have a tripod, sometimes it looks like the picture was taken by like a child. Like it ends up being like really low, but the tripod you can get it up to where it looks like it's
Yes.
just more planned. And I've taken, talking about maybe some lessons learned about pictures. I've taken group pictures where the plane of the people, you get them to line up, and it kind of, if it tilts a little bit towards the camera, these people that are closer look like giants compared to everybody who's over here.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've noticed that I try to watch and
Yes.
and counter for.
Well, and a lot of that's on your lens, on your camera, and I noticed it on TV shows and camera work on shows, and especially if somebody is sitting and the camera's over here and they have their legs towards them like this, it may look like their legs are huge. Just depending on how the lens reacts to the different axis of what's being viewed. And some lenses are better at that than others as far as making it look more natural. And that goes some into the quality of lens and thing. But like your phone, camera on your phone, the sensor on that is very small. They've really made those things so much nicer and better, but being so small, it's very limited to what it can do with some things. With the processes and stuff of the picture that it sees, so that it may make that happen more. I don't know. I haven't done that much with it. So the camera sensor is very important as far as how it affects the picture and stuff. But that's something you really can't play with. I mean, you just have to figure out what your camera can do that you're happy with, and figure out how to use it. And I recommend YouTube videos for whatever it is you have. Go ahead and look and see what people are doing. Almost every problem that's out there, people have recorded a YouTube on it and say how to do it better.
Yeah.
But the big thing about group pictures and things, it's almost the first thing, getting the group together. That's the hardest part a lot of times. Taking the picture, you know how to do that. Whether it's going to be good or bad, well, that depends on a lot of variables.
They won't know it at the moment, though.
That's right. But so they can complain about that later. It's just like, you cut my head off. And what you're saying about the thing being that's where a lot of the newer cameras have that. Where I say newer, not the professional cameras. The professional cameras typically are designed for a professional to have in their hands and to be taking the pictures, not to be running around getting into pictures with everybody else. So, but step it down, and you can turn the screen around, and you can see what it is you're taking a picture of. And then the other ones, you can see it on your phone. You go to your Wi-Fi on your phone to attach your camera. You can check the picture. You can snap the picture. Now, some of the complaints are that, well, you can't do a movie with some of them. You can just do still picture. You can't start the movie camera on take a movie.
Give it a year or two.
Yeah, it'll be there. That's right.
So a lot of times after you take a picture, you'll say, if you want to get your smaller families together, I'll take a photo of that, and it seems like that's a good opportunity that some people will take advantage of.
Yes. And what you don't know is that who's missing and why they don't want to do it. And what'll happen is some years, you'll lose an uncle, you'll lose a mom, or you'll lose somebody. And that group, instead of getting together, taking a picture, they decide, they're not here, what's the use? I would encourage that group to get together every time. I mean, everybody. And just because someone's missing doesn't mean I would want them still to get together. And what I do, I email them those pictures, so they can make prints from them. A lot of photographers, they have websites. You go to their website and you can make a print from their website, and they make money from that, and but those people usually will pay a premium for those prints. I give them the digital copy, the best quality one that I have, and I may only be able to send out 1 or 2 pictures at a time. In fact, some of them, their email won't even let me send one picture. You know, I have to you have a different email because you give me a company email or something, and that company won't allow attachments. So, you know, I have to get, I said, do you have a Gmail, or do you have, you know, something where I can send? Oh yeah, you know, that's, so, but that's what I recommend, you know, give it to them and make, so they will have it and they can do what they want with it. And they're more likely to say the next year, that's when I get the replies, thanks for sending the picture, it looks great, or whatever, you know, but that, go from there. And not all, like I say, very few pictures I think are that great. You know, I could, there's always something you could do better, you know, I think, you know, just, you can improve them. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to improve every time to do better.
So you just, I mean, when you're taking a family picture, you know everybody's contact information by now. But if it's a different person, or maybe a group that you're new to the family, or for some, you're taking a group of people that may be at work, do you just have them write down on paper and send it, or do you have a page that kind of sits to the side, people get to write their names on it?
And I do that. I take pictures of people I know nothing about, I don't know them, and I say, you want me to send you this picture of this group? Oh, that'd be great. Because what I'm doing is I'm taking the pictures for an organization that's there, whether it's a nonprofit group or whatever, and I will make a DVD with pictures, give it to that person. But if there's a smaller group inside that group, I will say, give me 1 or 2 email addresses. I always carry paper and pen. So I almost always, sometimes I forget. Or if you have a card with your email on it, I'll take, and businesses, a lot of them do, you know, it's no problem. But usually individuals and families and stuff, write it down, make sure I can read it, you know, and can you get large files with this email, and you know, they'll write it down and I'll read it back to them, because R's and V's and I's and E's sometimes are hard to distinguish on emails. And some people write it down so fast they know what it says. You know, I look at it and I said, you're going to have to do better than this. I can't make this out, you know, or whatever. So, and I thought about recording, you know, with a recorder, their email address and stuff. It is so hard to run a recorder and take pictures at the same, you know, all together sometimes. Now I can turn the recorder on, and if there's a PA system, I can get that sound on the recorder if it's not windy. But it's really, I've had a hard time doing that. I kind of wish the cameras would come with an audio recorder that would focus like a lens would. You know, you point stuff and I could get voice, you know, from somebody who's a ways away. But, you know, here we are in Kansas. You know, the wind blows all the time. It's really tough to do outdoor recordings. So, and I bought a new windsock. I have a windscreen. I show it to you. It's really, it looks like a hair muff thing. You know? It's just like, it's like feathers, but to put over the little recorder so that keep the wind down.
So this kind of being a little bit different of picture taking, but if you're going to take pictures of people you don't know and take multiple little groups, how are you writing them that email address and sending them the right picture? Are you writing down the picture number too?
Yes.
Or how's that?
When they give me their email, I look on my camera and I say, put down 5862, number 586, so I know which picture to send you. I always tell, that's how I do that, yes. Yeah. And what I'll say is, please share this. If it's a huge group, and you know, there could be a large lot, I will get 2 or 3 emails, and I say, please share with everybody else in the group. Oh, I will. I send out the newsletter or whatever, because I want as many people to get the picture as can. That's the whole idea. You know, I'm not taking it for me. I'm taking it for each of them. I want them to have it.
If Christmas is coming up, not everybody has a camera and a flash and a tripod and lenses, and everybody has a phone. Is it worth even trying with a cell phone? I mean, is it?
That's a camera. Your phone and the newer phones, they take excellent pictures. Do it. You know, if that's what you have, use it. The best, the number one camera in use now is the iPhone. I mean, that's it. You know, you learn how to take good pictures with it. You know, and these selfie sticks. You know, you just get as many people in your group as you can and take your pictures with it. Use what you have. I recommend getting a real camera. you know, as far as to get better pictures, you know, to take better pictures. If you don't have a regular, you know, a good digital camera, then use what you have. Get your group together, get your family together, and take the picture. That's the most important thing. Yes, and you know what camera to get. You know, I recommend Consumer Reports. Look at what they say about it. You know, go to YouTube, go to Amazon. Look at the reviews on the cameras. Look what people say. You know, look how many stars people give it. You know, ratings and stuff. Read about them. You know, just if you don't get Consumer Reports, go to Amazon. You know, look at the different. There are lots of cameras. Before, you know, it's Canon, Nikon, Sony. We're up at the top. Well, now there's smaller cameras. Samsung, Panasonic, and some of the smaller camera companies are making excellent cameras, especially 4K video. You know, Canon and Nikon are lagging way behind in the video stuff. Video is a whole different thing. You know, it is very hard to be good, to take good video. You know, that is a lot harder than taking good still pictures. You know, it's so much easier to freeze than it is to get a good video.
You talked a little bit about getting everybody that's, you know, if I'm taking a picture of this direction of you guys, getting people to kind of smash together and getting them along a smaller field of depth
Yes.
of field. So does it matter, keeping in mind that I want to have a little buffer area on each side, if my camera's here and I look at it and they're really far away, and should I zoom in a little bit, or should I just move my camera closer? Does that matter?
Yeah, it does, and it goes right back to the sweet spot on your depth and the sweet spot on your width. It's your lens, whatever lens it is, has a sweet spot on it, and usually it's not either the total wide angle or total telephoto. It's somewhere usually in between. Now, the more expensive lenses, they can be sweet all through it, you know. But most people don't have those real expensive lenses. So I recommend that you look at all the way telephoto and you take a couple steps forward, and if you can still get it in and you can back it off a little bit, that's what you should do. You know, you don't want to push the limit of your lens either way. You know, the focal length, and a lot of people, they would say only shoot with prime lenses. You know, that's like just a 50 millimeter lens on your camera. Not 35-70, just a 35 millimeter, 35, 50, you know, whatever. Just a prime lens, because those are more pure and have more, and that's probably true in most cases. Now, the more expensive zoom or lenses, you know, the 35-70 are a lot better than you, but they still have sweet spots usually. And you'll find that a 35-70 lens will probably be better at 50 to 65 than either at 70 or 35, as far as having things to be more in focus throughout the picture. You know, other things considered: f8, fast enough shutter speed, plenty of light, you know, all the other, and the ISO low enough that you're not getting too much grain.
Is there, okay, does the lens know what the sweet spot is, or does it matter the combination of the two?
You have to figure that out.
It's not marked in any way?
No, it's not marked, because every lens can be different. And what I said was typical. You know, typically, you know, the widest and the furthest out, most telephoto, are usually not as good as somewhere in between.
Okay.
So, but I would say this: if you need to be at the widest to get everything in, go to the widest.
Yeah.
Just like the iPhone, take the picture. Get the picture, that's the main thing. So if you're inside the house, guess what? You're going to be more likely the widest angle. I mean, that's it. You know, because you can only back up. There's so many walls in the way. You know, you can't go through a wall. So you got to do it like that. Now, if you're artistic, you know, you can divide the picture. You can split it and stitch your pictures together. I haven't done that with groups, because what happens is you get people's faces that are off. You know, I'm not very good at artwork like that, but it can be done. Whereas if you know where your line is, and you have something that you take half a picture here and then you take the other half of the picture over there, then you don't have to be back, and you can shoot it at 45 millimeter instead of 35 or 28 or whatever, and then stitch those together maybe. That gets into the art. I try to have my picture right the first time, you know, and not have to not go through the rest of the part. There's so much art that can be to photography and I don't consider myself an artist. I just, you know, I've never thought that I was that good at that. You know, looking at the colors. I mean, I try to get my vision isn't as good as it used to be, so I rely on my camera. You know, the focus and the color of everything and the flash. You know, the set so that I don't worry about automatic white balance on my camera or set to the flash white balance, so that I go from there with it. I don't typically shoot in RAW, just because I'm pretty happy usually with my JPEGs. I want them to be right. And I take enough, I do a various of the pictures, you know, that I usually will get something that's workable.
When did you start taking group pictures? Do you remember how old, or maybe
Oh,
an occasion?
you know,
Was somebody there doing it before you were, and you kind of took it?
well,
over?
I was probably, I went with a friend, Danny England. He was a professional photographer. And I would go with him, and he would take group pictures. He had a 4x5. 4x5 is a film size. It's a sheet of film, 4x5 Graflex camera. Looks like it's a huge camera. No. But he would he was the shrine photographer, but he'd also take other pictures of groups and stuff. I'd go with him, and I'd watch him take pictures, and he would take one picture. And I said, "Don't you need to take a couple more?" "No, I got it." He'd say,
Would he get it?
"Oh, he'd take his black and white. He'd take it back, process the picture, and he would shadow with his hands, you know, in a dark room, and he'd make the picture. I mean, yeah, he got it, you know. I don't, he
Was it expensive to take a second shot, or he just was good with the one?
He was usually, you know, he got what he wanted. He didn't waste. Well, you're talking about a sheet of negative film.
Yeah.
You know, it was huge. So yeah, But anyway, I got my first camera. I was like 23 years old when I bought my first 35mm camera, and it was expensive. It was like $400. You know, just like, oh my God. But at that time, that was what that.
Is that more than a car? Is that more than your car that you?
Oh well, yeah. My car didn't cost that much, but that was. You know, it was the kind of camera that I could actually had a self timer on it.
Okay.
So you know, things like that. But mostly I was taking pictures of other people. I wasn't, because it's more of taking a group picture isn't about the camera or photography. It's more about your relationship with people, and being willing to say, I want to get everybody together and take a picture. But you know, if you say that to the group, you're more likely to get turned down than if you get 2 or 3 people on your side to say it to the group and say, "Hey, Bob," they'll say, "Hey, Bobby wants to take a picture." You know, let's get together and get a picture. You know, and the first time, like you said, can be the hardest. You know, for a group like that. So yeah, as far as I don't know, but once I got started with doing group pictures, you know, and like I said, I've never been perfectly happy with my pictures. You know, I keep wanting to do better. That's what I keep trying to do. That's what I'm always working on, trying to get a better picture.
Imagine it's easier being able to see the picture right away versus going.
Oh,
the film
yeah.
dropped off.
Yeah, it is. It's so much nicer because you could look. You know, digital. You can look at, and when digital first came out, it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
You know, but it was neat because right away you could see it. But it was grainier. You know, it wasn't the quality, and so that's what I was a little delayed. You know, as far as coming into it because I just didn't. The end product wasn't where I could work with it yet. Yeah, but as soon as digital did come out, then it's so much easier to get a good picture, or know at least that you don't have a picture at all. Yeah, because that can happen with film.
Yeah, you don't have film in the camera.
When I was buying film, I would buy film that was outdated because they'd sell it real cheap, and I'd get this film that was outdated by quite a bit. And my pictures would be terrible. You know, they'd have streaks of color through them and things. It's like, oh, yuck, you know. So, but most of the time, outdated film was fine. You know, if it was kept, you know, like in an air conditioned store or something, you know, Kmart or whatever it was, get the old film from. I had a lot of old pictures with outdated film.
I remember, must have been, I don't know, 80s or early 90s. You had a video camera going. You had a group of maybe 50 people, and maybe the video camera was new or something. You just wanted to film it, and we had a lot of people standing on a bench, and the bench broke. You remember that?
Yes.
And it's all on tape. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Things happen.
filming it is a different idea maybe, but not the main focus.
Well,
Obviously.
like I said, it's a whole different skill. Doing video. It is very hard, and there's so much more art in the video. The main thing for video is have it on a tripod. And the hard thing about having it on a tripod is if your action's moving, you're going to have to move your tripod, and that defeats the purpose of having it on a tripod. So they have gimbals, they call it, you know, where you mount your camera on the gimbal, and that stabilizes your camera, so that when you walk around with it on a gimbal, you don't have all the jumpiness. Those things are right. You know, that's what you need if you're going to do video outside and walk around and follow people. But stabilized camera lenses and cameras, those also will help. So all that stuff. I haven't gotten into that side of it. That's a whole different field that's out there that has a big area to go to that I haven't gone to.
Yeah. So take pictures this Christmas or anytime that you get together in decent sized groups.
Yes.
Do your best, and then send them to everybody if they.
And try to say something funny, get people to smile if you can. Get them to look at your camera. You know, usually your light will flash a little bit, you know, 10 seconds, and say, okay, and tell them, look at the camera and smile, and get the kids to look and take your picture.
And a lot of times it's a little more advanced, but you'll have 2 cameras or 3, and you'll click one. Is that just to cut down on time as far as get people in and out quicker and give yourself the backup?
Right, and I usually try to have just a different perspective from different cameras and lenses and stuff. Yes, just try to get the good shot. And I'm still looking for a good shot. I'm still trying to find a good picture. So I figure more cameras and more chances. But usually I have one main camera that I really rely on, and the others are just kind of for fun or backup. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it was good. I don't know what else to ask you.
Okay.
I've been doing it for many years, so
a few years.
I'm trying to do it when you're not at an event where I'm at. So
I appreciate that. I like it. I like seeing your group pictures of people when you send them. I like it. Thanks for sending them when you do. And remember, you take it for yourself, but you take it for all of them too.
Yeah.
You're not taking pictures. You want to give your pictures, you know, but you get it so you can give it. So yeah.
Good. Well, thanks for helping out with more pictures in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.